going into retirement is not just the time to tinker with the asset allocations, get a little more conservative with all your assets. Putting together a plan, it helps you understand what you can have at risk, what you should not have at risk, what you can have in cash and banks, and what you should not, and all those kinds of things. It's really all about peace of mind. And so when we look at today, we're looking at what are the 3 things that really could destroy or derail even the best retirement plans. As I'm recording this video, it's baseball season. And when you get to baseball season, you want your team to get lots of hits. You want to see offense. You want to see a lot of runs scored, and hits are great, except when it comes to your retirement income plan. And so what we want to talk about today is don't let your retirement portfolio take a hit. And what do we mean when we say hit? What does HIT stand for? Well, the first big one is healthcare cost. So as we go into retirement, all of these, we start with a number. You meet with Medicare school and they say, here's the number you can put in your budget. You're 65 years old. Here's how much it's going to cost this year for your Medicare, premiums and all your supplements, all those kinds of things. And then what happens is over time, outside of our control, the government decides how much our Medicare premiums are going to go up. They may decide that, hey, you took too much money out of your 401ks and IRAs, and we're going to hit you with this thing called IRMA, an income-related monthly adjustment amount, and all those kinds of things. And so we go into retirement saying, okay, here's what I budgeted. Here's what Medicare school helped me with. Here's the number I need to make sure I cover every single month. But as you go into retirement, 5 years down the road, and Marvin and the team here could certainly talk to you more about this, you should probably assume that the rate of the monthly amount you have in your budget when you start retirement is more than likely going to be a lot higher than that 5 years in retirement, 10 years in retirement. So when you have a true retirement plan, it basically says, here's what I'm going to do as healthcare costs continue to rise. I'm going to make sure that my plan addresses what I would do if that were to happen. Another big one is inflation. And right now, we're obviously in a period of time where people are very concerned about inflation. The cost of goods is going up. The price of eggs, for example, has dramatically increased. And people that are working tend to be less impacted by this. They may be able to get more raises at work. They may be able to work overtime, work extra hours. So while people are in employment, they tend to be less affected and less impacted by inflation. But something happens when you're not getting a paycheck anymore, you're not working anymore, you're living on your retirement portfolio. Now all of a sudden, the impact of inflation, you really start to feel this. You really start to get concerned by, hey, everything I'm doing is costing more. And you may be living on a fixed income, and your income is kind of staying the same, or you're getting a little bit of a cost of living adjustment, for example, on Social Security, but the rate of inflation is going higher than your raises on the cost of living. So we have to look at it and say, what's the plan if inflation really impacts my cost of living in retirement? And even at a modest rate of inflation, 2.5%, that just means that over the course of your retirement years, you may need double the amount of income you needed at the start. Or another way of saying that is whatever your income is at the start of retirement may only feel like you're getting half of that when you're towards the end of retirement. So the whole idea is, and Marvin and I have talked about this before, the retirement date, the retirement plans in place, that's still just the beginning. That's the starting point. But you got to make sure as we're going into it, we have a plan to make sure if healthcare costs go up, inflation goes up. Also, the rate of inflation for wage earners in America is one rate. There's actually another index for seniors, and the rate of inflation for seniors goes up higher than the normal rate of inflation in 2 key areas. That's in medical care cost and in housing. And so that's even higher than the normal rate of inflation than for the average public. So we have to watch out for that in your portfolio. And the last big one that's on everyone's mind at all times normally is taxes. The reason why that's on my mind as a financial planner, why it should be on your mind, is that historically in the United States of America, our top marginal tax rates, where they are today, is actually historically very low. There have been times in the history of the United States of America where the top marginal tax rates are more than double what they are today. So the way we have to look at this as a retirement plan is to say, okay, I'm retiring this year. I know what my tax bracket is this year. I know what my tax rate is this year. But outside of our control, people in Washington, D.C. can decide, you know what, we're going to take, instead of taking 20%, we're going to take 30, we're going to take 35. So when you have a true retirement plan, it says, what is my plan for if taxes increase during the course of my retirement years? So it's not just saying, okay, we have a plan, this is great. The day you walk out of your job for retirement, here's how your assets are allocated. Here's the products we're going to use. Here's your tax bracket. Here's your healthcare cost. It's all going to work out fine. That's the way to start. But then we have all these contingencies in place as you go through retirement, making sure your portfolio, making sure your retirement plan doesn't take a hit. And you have to have a plan for these.
Very good. Steve, I appreciate what you said, because these really affect everyone.
Yep.
But when we're working, we can adjust. We can get a new job. We can ask
right.
for a raise. We can work overtime. But when people go into retirement, that's no longer an option. They can't give themselves a raise, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why they really have to have proper planning to prepare for
right.
these things. Thanks so much.
Yep.